Welcome to One Word Stories. My name is Joanna Zell, and I'm tremendously happy to host a very, very special guest of mine, Markus Ebner. Hi, Markus.
Thank you very much, Joanna, for this invitation. I'm happy to be here.
And I'm happy that you are joining. Lucky you, you are joining from sunny corner of Spain, from Gran Canaria. However, half time you are there, half time of the year you are in Vienna, where you also work as an academic teacher. You have completed your PhD over there. You've got a fantastic, fantastic project with plenty of students, plenty of researchers. And what is really spectacular about it is that you have actually got inspired by Martin Seligman with his positive psychology, and you decided to take this idea to the
Mm.
leadership context.
Yeah.
So, proudly presenting my fantastic guest, the author of PERMA LEAD, so positive leadership.
Thank you for this introduction, Joanna.
Yeah, so what did actually make you curious about positive leadership? How did your journey start?
Hmm. Well, to be really honest, I was not curious about this topic because I didn't know anything about it. I did my PhD about entrepreneurship. What is not entrepreneurship? It's not the same. Entrepreneurship is more like people who are working in a company but behave like it's their own company.
Mhm,
And I was invited for a big conference to talk about the studies I did. And then I got an invitation for the next year's conference. And I think it was in June, and the next conference was in June as well. And I remember it was the year 2008 when everything started. And then I got an invitation by the HR manager of the company to talk about the topics they want me to talk about in the next conference. And he was the one who asked me, do you know anything about positive leadership?
mhm,
And I didn't know anything about positive leadership. I was not interested in this topic because, there are different buzzwords about leadership that comes up every month a new one. And for me, positive leadership was something like that. But he really wanted me to think about this positive leadership thing. And he told me that he want me to make a study in this company and he can give me like 1,000 employee for this study
mhm.
if I
Sounds
do it
promising.
about positive leadership. So I started to read about this topic. We conducted the study and then we presented at the conference, and I still was not so much engaged in this. And then I got an invitation for a positive psychology conference to talk about what we did in this company. And by coincidence, I ended up sitting on a table for dinner with Martin Seligman. And yeah, I think you know the story already. And I didn't know that this is Martin Seligman because he was the first person at the table for dinner and I was the second person. So I took place next to him. And he told me that he's an American psychologist, and I told him that I'm an Austrian psychologist. So we had something in common. And so we started the conversation. And to make a long story very short, I was invited to join this group of positive psychologists for the next conferences. And so very quickly, I got involved in this group and I really, really, really felt in love with this topic.
Why?
So
Your
yeah,
why,
I think there are
Marcus?
like 1 million reasons maybe. So one thing is that I already was trained as a coach during this time, and most of the coaching approach I've learned was not evidence-based.
Mhm,
I didn't know that like there is evidence base about happy life or something like this. And I found out that there is evidence-based research about this topic. And I really was interested about this. Plus, As a psychologist and as a student of psychology, I learned to diagnose suffering
Mhm.
like depression, fear, and everything. But I've never learned anything about being happy in life. I just learned about the minus side and not about the plus side. So this was especially for a psychologist and for a person who was working in the field of psychology with managers and leaders. This was like something very new. And I really was interested in this. That was one of the reasons. And the second reason, a very personal one, I have joined a lot of conferences already. But usually conferences are like, sure, about connection and about talks, but it was never a place of growth or of having fun together or things like this. And the positive psychology conferences are really different.
Mhm.
It's not only about study results, for sure, this is important as well, but it's also about real connections. It's it's different. And so for me, I found like kind of home, and I started to work more and more in this field. Then I set up a lecture at the university in Vienna about positive leadership. What was the very first lecture about positive psychology at the University of Vienna? And since this time, I work almost all the time in this field
Yeah,
as a practitioner, but also as a researcher.
yeah, yeah. Yes, I had the pleasure to attend your certification you
It was
offer.
a pleasure to have you there.
Yes, it was a pleasure in general to, dive into the topic with such a great group, right? Because it was
Yeah.
really a fantastic group of participants. So I guess this was the micro level of the atmosphere at the conferences on positive psychology.
Oh,
That,
yeah.
yeah,
Mm,
I can imagine that this was also this atmosphere of, yes, just positive emotions from
mm,
the very beginning. So this is about framing, about hosting, about,
mhm, mhm,
also spreading the invitation. However, the magic happens over there because
mhm.
actually all the, let's say, qualities of the acronym PERMA took place over there.
Yeah.
Yeah,
But it's always about the people.
yeah.
And it's always, so that's my opinion, what we create together. And what is very important to say is positive psychology is not the negation of the negative in
Yeah.
life. Because many people think positive psychology is to negate the negative parts of life. It's not like this. It's more like an extension of
Mhm.
your view, the negative and the positive. And for sure, when people come together for a positive leadership workshop, the focus is mostly on the positive things like strength, like positive emotions, things like this. And this focus creates a very special energy I feel quite often in my workshops.
Mhm. You have just mentioned strength. And also, as I remember, we were talking about talent and competencies.
Yeah.
So before diving into the theme of positive psychology and the PERMA, I would like to stop for a moment on these three words: talent,
Mhm.
strength, and competence, because it also is the basis of understanding positive psychology and what is important for not only leaders but for everybody.
I think for everybody, right?
Yeah. And it
Yeah.
triggered my curiosity a lot, and you actually addressed it in such powerful way, just with one sentence for every single category. So talent, which means I have it. You remember?
Well, I remember, yeah.
You remember?
Talent is I have it already.
Yeah.
But having talent does not mean that I want it, and talent does not mean that I'm already able to do this. Talent is more like a power button.
Hmm.
And the second word you said is competencies. It's the same like as abilities. I can do it, like talking in English or how to know how to record a session like this.
Yeah.
or how to brush my teeth. Like everything like this is a competence. But having a competence still does not mean that I want to do this.
Mhm.
That's why we need the term strength, because strength in this meaning is I want it. It comes out by itself. It's something very intrinsic.
Mhm.
And from my life experience, many people are mostly focusing on competencies to learn abilities, especially when they become professionals. And then they are super professional, they are super competent in things they don't want to do.
Yeah.
But for happiness in life, for feeling fulfilled in life, it's very important that you integrate ways of work or ways of behavior in your life where you do things that you really want to do. And that's why it's very important to distinguish competencies and strength.
Mhm. Yeah, definitely, because it's so important for, uh, in my opinion, the first two parts of PERMA. It triggers positive emotions
Hmm.
and, of course, the engagement. When I'm engaged in doing something, when I see that I can, yes, just apply my strength and maybe even my talent, I'm in
Hmm.
the state of flow. I have the impression that, I'm not playing the piano, I'm not dancing in front of the audience, I'm not having a lecture or a speech somewhere. It's really about being here and now in the state of enjoyment, in the state of
Yeah.
flow.
Hmm.
Yeah, when I think about these first two parts of the PERMA, positive emotions and engagement,
Hmm.
I immediately have to think of exactly this distinguishing among talent and strength and competences, how important it is to have the clarity. What is actually our vision and mission, so to say?
Because the best combination is when people in a company can work with their strength, with the combination of strength and abilities.
Mhm.
Because then you are really good in what you do and you really like what to do, the best combination. When we only focus on abilities, people are able to do their work maybe very well, but they don't feel energized. It's more stressful. And maybe on one point in their life, they have this inner feeling that their job and their life does not have a good fit.
Yeah.
And then they change what is not good for the company and also not good for the employee. It's much better when uh, when you grow always focusing on strengths and abilities, because then you will never have this feeling that your life and your job life doesn't have a good fit because you always had both in mind. And that's why
Mhm.
it makes a lot of sense to focus on both. But a lot of people don't know their strength.
Yeah.
They know their abilities and they think that abilities and strengths are the same, but
Mm.
it's not the same.
Mm. Yeah. Yeah. Yeah, so it sounds like, a good inner journey for everybody, so that people can flourish, that they have the clarity about it.
It's everything about flourishing in positive psychology.
Yeah, yeah.
So,
It's excellence, right? So the intersection between
yeah, it's about
strength
excellence for
and
sure. In positive leadership, especially in positive leadership, it's about excellence. Uh, but this excellence is like an intrinsic excellence.
yeah.
Like it comes from within, and you're excellent in what you're doing. So you are able to do this for a very long time. You get energized by your work, and this is a perfect combination for the company, for the employees, for the leaders, for everybody.
So I'm a happy owner.
Yeah, you're
With
a certified consultant. Only
notebook.
PERMA LEAD certified consultants have this book.
Only how many?
At the moment, there are 1,720.
Exactly, exactly. It's a huge crowd.
It's a very huge crowd already.
Yeah,
All over the world, by the way.
this is
In
fantastic. This is
China,
great.
in Saudi Arabia, in America for sure, in
Yeah,
Australia,
yeah,
and a lot of them in Europe.
fantastic. So you have just said, that this is a very important aspect as well, that it's so much about the human factor, that we
Mm,
can only flourish when we, okay, bring this P, so positive emotion, E, engagement, and R is about relationships.
yeah, it's very important. Relationship is a very important factor. The relation we have to the people, especially in this case on workplace. Do we feel connection? Do we feel psychological safety, for example? Psychological safety means, can I be the person that I really am, or do I have to play like an actor in my company? Um, that's the relation factor, a very important one.
Yeah. There was a fantastic question actually in our course. What kind of relationships? Is it about relationships we have with people in our surrounding? Or can we flourish only when the human relationships in general are positive? So not only people we've got contact with, but in general, the atmosphere in the company, in the organization, in the society, when I
Mhm.
go one step more forward. How do you see it?
Well, I'm happy that I don't study the society because it's even
Yeah,
much bigger.
yeah, yeah,
In my studies, I focus on the companies.
yeah.
And what we see is that the more intense the relations between employees in a team, the better the outcome. There are several studies that shows that, for example, when you have your best friend on workplace, it's the best.
Mm-hmm.
So the better the connection, the better the outcome. Uh, but there is one very important thing to explain. Connections can only grow between people and not between roles.
Oh, yeah.
That means when we are sitting in team meetings, it's not only about the time we spend together. When we're sitting in a team meeting and I'm the CFO and you are the CEO, so we are talking in our roles. What is not what we mean when we talk about relationships. We need to talk as persons, like we need to have some space where we talk about things like where you're going on holiday, um, you you got married last week. How was it? Whatever. So we need to have this kind of at least a little bit of a private connection to feel that we are connected as human beings and not as roles. This is what we mean when we talk about relationships in the PERMA LEAD model.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
And
Very.
especially when people work remote,
Yeah.
it's very important to focus this because relationship in presence is much more easy because you have a coffee, you have a break, there are always people around. Maybe you have a lunch break together and you talk about private things. When you work almost all the time remote with your colleagues, where is the space to talk about those things?
Mm.
So, especially for those teams who work mostly remote, we have to create space for this part as well.
Yeah.
Also in companies, it's good when we have space for having a personnel talk to the others.
Yeah, definitely. It reminds me of a very, very beautiful experience when I got involved in the organization of a pretty big conference.
Mhm.
It was a conference for 450 participants, and we had a team of 8 persons. I was the team lead, and they were from really literally different countries, however, originally from other corners of the world. So within this group of 9 persons, me included, we had 18 or even more cultural influences from different corners of the world because of their huge and rich experience. And some of them I haven't met before. So I started
Mhm.
working with them as the leader online. And I
Mhm.
met them after 18 months for the very first time.
Oh, wow.
So it was
Uh-huh.
really hilarious because, it was kind of weird hugging
Uh-huh.
people who you see for the very first time.
And people are smaller and taller than expected
Exactly,
when you just
exactly.
meet
And
online and
yeah,
then it's in presence.
yeah. And you even, think of having a t-shirt with the inscription, I love people I work with. I hope I will meet them one day.
Uh-huh. Hmm. Wow.
Yeah, so it was really, really a very interesting experience because, as you say, this relationships, the quality of relationships is not so much about the quantity of time spent together
Hmm.
or just spending this time only, as you have called it, at the level of having understanding for the roles
Hmm.
and sticking just to the roles, but building this human connection. And still, when I look at the PERMA lead model, we still have two more
Hmm.
letters, M and
Meaning.
A, and all of that doesn't really make so much sense for the people, even if there is psychological safety, even if they know their strength and talents, even if they have great quality of relationships,
Mhm.
if they don't see the meaning of their work,
This
right?
is a very important job for leaders to focus on this meaning at workplace because sometimes people they just make their work, but they don't see the big picture. So it's important for leaders to always focus on the reason why and to talk about this. The reason why we are going to change something, for example. The reason why we have a new strategy, for example. Explanation about this, but also showing the employees which part they have in the big picture. So both of both of uh, both of this is very important because we can see that people are more engaged and people are better at work when they have this feeling of meaning in
Mhm.
terms of having a sense. Why do we do what we do? Why do I do what I do? We need sense in life, but we also need sense at work.
Definitely, definitely. And this guides me to the question because, when people talk about their results
Hmm.
for positive leadership assignment or even the feedback 360, uh, then of course it's not only about numbers, about the results and statistics, but also the stories behind.
Hmm.
And my question is, what is such a very inspiring, surprising story you have heard? How someone managed to motivate other people around, that they see the meaning in their work, that they, let's say, rediscover the meaningfulness of what they do. How can a leader,
Well,
simply speaking, trigger this
mhm.
meaningfulness? What?
I think there are lots of stories about this. Let me think which one I'm going to tell. Maybe this one. There is a five-star hotel in Vienna where the director of the hotel, she's a certified PERMA LEAD consultant as well, and she integrated the PERMA LEAD approach in the whole hotel. And she told a very, very amazing, beautiful example how this works. So they have those people working on the front desk. And once there was some construction works in front of the hotel, and they did the construction work during the night because, not to cause a traffic jam on the main street. And one of the guests came at 3 or 4 in the morning complaining about the noise. And the guy at the front desk, the receptionist, the night receptionist, he broke a rule. And the rule he broke is there was like, I don't know exactly where they have it, but where they have the champagne. And it's not allowed to take a champagne or to open this box where the champagne is. But he broke the rule and he offered this guy a bottle of champagne as an excuse. And next day, when Andrea is the name of the director, when she came, he told her that he's very sorry he broke a rule, but he thought that this was a possibility for an excuse to the guest. And what Andrea did in the next meeting, she was pointing at him as a very good role model and the best example that sometimes it's necessary to break a rule because the meaning of the whole hotel system is we want these customers, these guests to come back.
Mhm.
And when you say to the customer at 3 or 4 in the morning, oh, I'm sorry, I cannot make any decisions. Um, so you have to wait until tomorrow, until the director is coming. He gets more and more angry because the noise was until 6 or 7 in the morning. So he broke a rule. And she took this as a learning. And the learning was that she, as a director, said, in the future, if someone complains in the night, I give you the ability to make any necessary decision and I will not question it.
Mhm.
So I trust that you will make a good decision because the meaning behind it is that we want to make our guests happy. We are a five-star hotel. It's not about 50 or even 100 or maybe even 200 euros because an unsatisfied guest will not come back to our hotel.
I really like this example. It brings us also to the very last letter in the PERMA LEAD model, the A that stands for accomplishment. So accomplishment, immediately I have to think about,
Mhm.
happy faces and the symbol maybe. Yes,
Can
the
be.
bottle of champagne. Yeah, you have
Yeah,
just
bottle of
mentioned.
champagne, for example. If you like
For
champagne,
example,
yes.
exactly. So, why is it so important for leaders to make sure that their employees, their team members celebrate successes, that they focus on accomplishment?
Mhm.
Why?
Well, usually in meetings, for example, or in talks between manager and employees, the most time we talk about is things that have to be done in the future or something that did not work well. That gives us the feeling that we never fulfill something.
Mhm.
It gives us the impression that there is never an end, and it keeps the stress level very high, always focusing on things that are not fulfilled yet. But we fulfill a lot, and we already accomplished a lot. That's why we need leaders who also point on this to show us that we are able to accomplish something. That makes people stronger, that makes people more believe in themselves, and it gives us trust to solve the problems of the future when we focus on the problems we solved in the past.
Mhm.
And we all solved a lot in the past, and it's important to focus on that as well. That does not mean that we do not focus on problems. That does not mean we do not focus on what went not well.
Mhm.
For sure, we should do this as well in companies, but we should add a technique, by the way. It's called WWW technique. That
Okay.
stands for what went well.
Mhm.
And what went well is when something went well, it's very important to analyze it because when you analyze something that went well, you can do it again. If you don't analyze it and it happened by coincidence, you don't know how to create it in the future. And that's why we should celebrate the accomplishment and celebrate this. For sure, it can be a bottle of champagne. For sure, it can be a big party. But it's also the small things like just saying thank you or just saying congratulations. Or maybe you get an email in CC, like as a leader, and you think that the email is very good. Just send back, well done.
Mm.
It's like 2 seconds or 3 seconds, and it gives your employee really the feeling that he is not ignored.
Yeah.
Plus, you also recognize that something goes well, and it makes us more stable as a person when we know that we are able mm, to be successful, and when we know that we are able to accomplish things.
Yeah, Marcos, you have just emphasized that it's so important to have both, right? To focus on the positive outcome, but not to ignore the problematic part.
Yeah, that's very important. Uh-huh.
And as for the problematic part and challenges, and also, the stormy
Mm,
events in our times, this is the question I ask all my One Word Stories guests.
mhm,
What is such a word, just one word, that personally is helpful for you in
mhm.
such turbulent times? And what is the story behind?
Let me think about this. Maybe it's, can I say 2 words as well?
Long.
Okay, it's keep calm.
Keep calm.
Mm, I think it's that.
Mhm.
Because when there is a storm, it doesn't help when the storm gets inside you. I never had the experience that this was helpful for me. Or when other people get triggered by the storm. It's not helpful. It needs like people who are like rocks in these storms, who are standing there, who give a positive picture of the future. And we survived a lot of storms. Even in my life, I survived a lot of storms and I'm still here.
Mhm.
That's one reason why we should think about the past, how we solved those storms in life, because that gives us the confidence that we will solve the storms in the future and in the present. And I think keep calm is like keep calm and think what is the best thing you can do now in this situation.
Yeah. So to keep a little bit of distance and bring lightness,
Yeah, I think
that
it's
kind
about
of
this.
lightness.
Like it's about myself. When I say keep calm, I mean keep calm to myself.
Mm-hmm.
So I'm talking to myself first.
Yeah.
Keep calm.
Yeah. Yeah.
Because I think for me it's very helpful. And when I'm calm, I'm I have the potential to calm down others. When
Mm.
I'm not calm inside myself, it's not easy to bring calm to other people.
Yeah.
So I think that's what I try. It doesn't always work for sure, but I think it helps to have this in my mind to focus
Okay.
on this.
Thank you very much. It was fantastic to listen to your experience, your insights, also this example story. Really, really very, very powerful. And I'm delighted that you have accepted my invitation, and I'm looking forward that our paths cross again.
I'm sure it will. And thank you
All
for
the
the
best.
invitation, Joanne. It was a pleasure to be
Thank
here.
you.
Thank you.